just dropped Jasmine off at the train station, and she's on her way back to Dublin, and then on her way back to Toronto tomorrow. So now I'm alone again, and going back to the same little hostel, Tom's Cottage, in like southern Kilkenny, southern part of Kilkenny, and just gonna hang out there for a little bit and then head on tomorrow. Okay, so I had actually filmed my whole intro and how I got here, and then realized that I had it in slow-mo the whole time. So all of the effort that it took to actually drive here and find this place, which I'm at the Fota Arboretum and Gardens, and I didn't know what an arboretum was. It's actually a collection of trees, so it should be like a garden sort of thing. So yeah, I actually just found it, and it took about 2 or 3 times driving around this park because the signage wasn't super great, and then my phone kept leading me astray. So now we're here. This looks like we found it. Just the entrance already looks super cool, so I'm pretty excited to see what this is. So this is super cool, but 2 kids definitely just walked by me. I heard him muttering about why an adult was here by himself, and then one of them said maybe he kidnaps kids. So I think maybe this is supposed to be just for kids and maybe not for grown-ass people like me. But who cares? This is super cool and super photogenic, and I love everything about it, so. Since we're in this beautiful place, and I'm pretty much by myself because I've just been walking around this garden with trees, and there's pretty much nobody here except the kids who were wondering why I was here alone as an adult without children of my own. You know, that kind of made me think that, you know, today is the first full day I've had alone since I actually got to Ireland. So I guess I wanted to talk about that a bit. When I first got into Dublin, I was freaking out, like straight up panic attack almost. So my phone was dying. I didn't know where to go. I was really nervous about being in a hostel. So I sat in a coffee shop in the Dublin airport and charged my phone and drank a coffee and just stressed for about 30 to 45 minutes. Finally, I worked up the bravery to go and catch a bus and then take the bus into Dublin. I don't know, I was simultaneously nodding off and panicking at the same time. And then I got into the hostel, got checked in, put my stuff down, and then walked around, as you probably saw in one of my earlier videos. And that was pretty cool going to see Dublin, although I didn't really see a whole lot when I was walking. But then I came back to the hostel and kind of just laid down because I was exhausted. I didn't really sleep on the plane at all. And I just kept thinking, is this it? Like, is this all it's gonna be? And I started kind of freaking out a little bit because I was like, did I make a mistake? As soon as I was thinking that, one of the guys who was sleeping in my room in the hostel came in and introduced himself. And then he proceeded to ask if I was going on the hostel pub crawl, which I didn't really know about. And I wasn't planning on it because I was super tired. I was just planning on going to bed and then, you know, waking up and starting fresh with a new day. But I just said, you know what, why not? And I went out with him to get food, and then we met up with the rest of the hostel at the pub crawl. And I ended up meeting a couple of pretty cool people who I ended up traveling with for the next 5 days. Well, not traveling, just partying. And then when it was finally time for me to leave Dublin, one of them, my friend Jasmine, decided to come with me. So I had a co-pilot and a fellow traveler for, you know, the past couple days. And so dropped off Jasmine at the train station yesterday for her to go back to Dublin, and then for her to fly out back to Toronto today. So yeah, today's my first full day alone, and it's weird, but I really enjoy it. I went to 2 different towns so far. I went to Dungarvan. I've forgotten this name like 7 times today. It sounds like something dwarven from D&D. But Dungarvan, I believe, which has a really cool castle and then some really nice coffee shops. So I was able to sit down and get a cappuccino and read a book for a minute, and then just kind of wander around for a little while. And then, you know, just driving alone this time meant that podcasts were at a premium. So I've been listening to those all day. And now I'm just wandering around this really incredible, peaceful, essentially tree garden, and just kind of killing time until I go to my Airbnb. And honestly, this is really cool. This is really, really cool. I know I didn't make a mistake doing this trip though. I think that's what I've come to realize pretty much after that first night, was that it's gonna be all right. I can do this for a long time. Talking to one of the guys at the hostel I was staying at last night, it was called Tom's Country Cottage Hostel, I believe. It's in the middle of nowhere in the southern part of Kilkenny. And I was talking to one of the guys who lived and worked there. His name was Joe. Very, very nice guy. Gave me a bunch of tips about long-term travel and what to do and all this other stuff. And he was suggesting not going to England and Scotland right away because they're expensive. He was suggesting going and checking out Eastern Europe pretty soon, essentially right after leaving Ireland in 2 weeks, because they get the snow in about September, which is earlier than I thought, and those countries are really cheap too. So I'm considering canceling my flight to England and potentially going to one of those Eastern European countries. And then he also mentioned doing Help X and a couple of other different work for stay programs. So essentially you work like 3 hours a day, cleaning or doing whatever it needs to be done at the hostel, like checking people in, and then you get free accommodation. So that would also help save money and extend my trip. So I'm considering doing that. I'm not really sure though. But yeah, those are my thoughts. This is essentially like my week 1 check-in for, you know, traveling abroad. And it's been great so far. I already have a bunch of new friends that I plan on visiting in their home countries that I met in Ireland. I already have a ton more confidence than I did going into it. I mean, I've been driving a manual car on the left side of the road, sitting on the right side of the car for the past 4 days now. I didn't know how to drive manual. I drove my brother's manual car on the road for the first time 3 hours before I took off for my flight. So granted, I've obviously stalled out a bunch of times and, you know, embarrassed myself a little bit, but I've got the hang of it now, and it is such a really cool feeling, and it bolsters confidence because this is a completely new country with new rules, and the driving system is backwards, and, you know, I'm kind of just here about myself, and it's working out great so far. This is just my short little chat and an update on how everything's going. So let's keep walking because this place closes soon. I wish you guys could smell this place. This is one of the best smelling natural places I've ever visited. There were so many bees in that part that I just walked through. I was just waiting to get lit up. But I guess one of the things that I'm still thinking about is, you know, what's next? Like, is it going to be as easy to make friends in the next hostel? I know it will, but, you know, you always have to wonder until you have more data, I guess. You know, like, who am I going to meet in the next hostel? What country am I going to go to next? It's all very uncertain, which gives me a little bit of anxiety, but at the same time, that's the fun part. You know, you never know where you'll go next. So I don't know, I guess that's kind of the thing, is that what's the next step? Because I've had Ireland planned out, and everything beyond Ireland is just up in the air. Now I'm just trying to get out of this place so I can get to my car, so I can get on the road, so I can make it to my Airbnb. I'm sure it'll be fine. It won't be a problem. I never thought a place that had just trails and trees would be so complex. Okay, I think I found the way out because that looks familiar. Also, I ran into a grandma and her grandson who were lost because they were playing hide and seek. And then I just ran into the mother who was looking for them. So at least I'm not the only one that gets lost here. Okay, so we just got back to the car. Ended up making our way back. Saw the grandma and her grandson again. She apparently got out. The mom went back in to look for him. The grandpa is completely missing. So yeah, I think they have it worse than I did. But it's 5:15 right now. My check-in at my Airbnb is at 7. And I'm about 2 hours and 15 minutes away. So we'll see what happens with this. But overall, those are my thoughts on solo traveling for a week now. All in all, it was definitely some of the most uncomfortable moments, where I wonder if I made a mistake, where I wonder, if I really wanted to keep doing this or not. But that was just the introductory anxiety, of course. And that's not gonna change. Probably it'll happen again when I move on to the next country, wherever that might be. But I already feel much more confident than I did when I took off. And I can already tell this is gonna be, the best thing I've ever done in my life. Even last night, when I went with people I didn't know from a new hostel to a local small pub to listen to some old people play traditional Irish music, it was beautiful. It was just those kind of experiences are the ones that I'm looking for. And the fact that I've had so many of them in the first week, it's only going to continue from here. So I'll keep posting videos. I'll keep giving updates on my mental state and my thoughts on solo travel. And yeah, that's all I got. So I'll see you guys in the next video.